Point of view is how we see things. Have you wondered ever, for example, how does your dog see the world? From down here when he's lying down? To a dog's view when they're running around the yard?
Or perhaps standing at the door waiting for you to come home.
Today's 5 in 5 is point of view. Here's what we need to know. You got to find point of view first when you read your AP passage or poem. You got to name it correctly. You got to know its function or effect, know if it is a speaker or a narrator, and then you have to know if it's important enough to discuss. So very quickly, let's review. This is a mess. Follow with me. Remember that your author of your work creates the narrator or the speaker. Okay, because this is important, because the narrator or the speaker and whatever they're communicating may not represent what the author believes. So just keep that in mind. If it is a passage, a short story, a novel, a passage from a short story or a novel, you're going to have to choose the word narrator in your discussion on the AP exam. If it is a poem, you need to use speaker when you're referencing the point of view. So here are quick questions. 1. Is the narrator or speaker a participant or a witness? And 2, is he or she reliable and credible? All right, here are types. First person. Remember, you're going to look immediately in your passage or poem to see what pronouns are being used. If it's I, me, we, or us, that's first person. The narrator is a participant in the story. That creates intimacy. That's how it's functioning, because we can hear the inner thoughts and experience that particular emotion that's going on with that particular character. This, however, is going to also limit our knowledge, because if we're really focused on just one person, then we're limited to that person. And so that's something else that we have to just be aware of. It's kind of like sitting at the lunch table and listening to one person's point of view. Well, that's the only part of the story that we're getting. And so sometimes we have to question that. Second person is the pronoun you. This is not going to happen very often, but it could, so we need to be ready for it. The reader feels he is personally being addressed, and it allows the narrator to explain and moralize. That's how it's functioning. Think about Jane Eyre. Sometimes she'll shift into saying things like, dear reader, blah, 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 blah. And a lot of the times that's where our theme can be located, because it is the narrator kind of expounding on life and kind of some of the things that they've extrapolated out about life from the experiences going on in the novel. Third person. If you find the pronouns he, she, they, them, that is third person. It is an anonymous speaker, and they are emphasizing the actions of others. That's how it's functioning. Now, we have several different types of third person. One is dramatic, limited observations. That's fly on the wall. That's almost like just a fly on the wall, and it's recording everything that goes on around, but you don't necessarily get very close to a character. The second one is limited. Third person limited limits us to the thoughts and actions primarily of one character. The function of that, we feel that we are more closely connected to that particular character as we walk throughout the work with them or the poem. And then third person omniscient is all-knowing. We know the inner workings of many characters' minds. The function here is look out for dramatic irony, especially in a long work like a novel, because other characters are expressing their own feelings, but they're not always familiar or aware of what the other characters are. And so that can kind of create some suspense in the reader, because like, oh my goodness, if they only knew what the other character happened to be thinking. Quick test. Name the point of view. Oh my goodness. What is she doing to me? I am so confused. She seems to be hovering over me all morning. What is that? First person point of view. Excellent. Example 2. When you're preparing to homeschool your high school AP students, don't become overwhelmed. You're going to do just fine. What was that one? That one was second person. Example number 3. Casey sat in her bed, wondering just exactly how her mother was going to torment her for the rest of the day.
Shut the curtain.
That one was what? Third person, limited to Casey's experience while the dogs just jumped around. That's third person limited. We have no idea what they're thinking. Last test. Casey sat in her bed wondering how her mother would torment her as the dogs began wondering how they could play and torment everyone in the household. They loved their people. All right, that's 5 for 5. Find the pronouns, decide what the point of view is, get it accurate, and then you're going to have to ultimately decide, is it important enough to discuss in your response. Love y'all. 5 for 5 for today. 5 and out. Bye.